Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. Okay. How about the other patient?
頑張って生きるんだぞ。ドクターボイヤー。
Boy.
どうやらそっちは成功した。
Look on his face.
はい。一応オペは。
市長は死亡したよ。
それは残念でした。
よくもまあ人事みたいに言えたもんだ。問題は君が勝手にチームを抜けたため
Oh
にできた
man.
穴を
So it
彼
begins.
らが埋めさせられたってことだ。
でも聞いてください。僕は。
君はチームワークを乱したんだよ。スタッフ全員の信頼関係で成り立っている。なのに君はスタンドプレーをした。
I mean,
院長にもすでに報告してある。当病院の権威を失墜させるような今回の件を
I bet he
市長
does.
は非常に遺憾に思われている。覚悟しておきたまえ。
Yeah.
バイタルサインはとても安定した状態。
At least there's that.
そう。それはよかった。
Hmm.
先ほどのオペ素晴らしかったです。
Ah, okay. I've noticed that type of shot a few times now, the framing. Okay, okay.
部屋を物色された形跡もあることから物取りの犯行かあるいは亡命してきた夫妻に対する政治的なテロの可能性もあるとみて両面からの捜査が続いています。夫妻の双子のお子さんのうち頭に銃弾を受けた兄の方は手術は成功したものの依然意識は戻らず今も重体のままです。
あの子これからどうするんだろう。
ところにより午後にわか雨があるでしょう。
僕もあの子と同じだな。
また今日はずっとぼーっとしてる。
Here comes Becker.
ドクターベッカー。
いろいろと大変だったみたいでね。だからあれほど言ったんだよ。病院は政治の世界だって。
He did. He did.
上手に渡りしていけば、君ならこの先順風満帆のはずだ。
Right to the top. Ooh, yes.
これから君も俺の仲間ってことになるんじゃないかね。
双子の女の子の方の事情聴取
お
の件だが。
今それどころじゃないんですよ、刑事さん。
あ？
あの子が病室からいなくなったんです。
何？
あの子すぐに病室を抜け出して病院内をフラフラしちゃうんです。
Oh man.
あ？
Oh my god. Oh. Me. Kill. Or kill me? Kill me. Whoa. Whoa, whoa. Hold on. Okay, later.
残念ながら当病院において市長が死亡
The
した
sign
が
of Ava.
我々はいつものように全力を尽くした。君の論文読ませてもらったよ。これからも頑張って。
Oh. Oh, yeah?
院長。
Him and his eyebrows.
この度は申し訳ありませんでした。
まあまあ、もう過ぎたことだ。
院長。
Really?
君は君の思ったように行動した。それでいいじゃないか。
I don't know.
院長。
I don't know if he's gonna let you off that easily.
チーフから一言挨拶をお願いします。
ちょっと失礼します。挨拶に呼ばれましたので。
君じゃないよ。
Ah, there it is.
病院に残りたければ残りたまえ。ただし医者として上を望むのは諦めた方がいい。
There it is.
君のように人格的に問題のある人間には無理だ。君の腕は評価するがそれだけだ。もう学会で論文を発表したりすることも諦めたまえ。
Okay.
他の病院に移りたくとも私は紹介状を書くつもりはない。もう野心を持っても無駄ということだ。君が思い描いていた医者への道は閉ざされたと思いたまえ。
There is a judgment. Oh. Oh.
エヴァ。エヴァ、君からお父さんに言ってくれないか。僕はただ急患を運び込まれた順番通りにオペしただけなんだ。
There's a ring.
それは 婚約指輪じゃないか。
あなたって本当にバカね。
Yeah.
エヴァ
It checks
ド
out.
クターノルで素敵なスーツね。
君こそ今夜はまた一段と美しいよエヴァ。
Just like that. Here's those low angle shots again.
僕はハイネマン院長の論文に出会ってドイツに渡り院長にここまで育ててもらった。今思えばあの時感銘を受けた論文も僕がやっているようにどこかの誰かが
Yeah,
院長の代わりに書いたものなんだろう。
There's a good chance of that.
我々は人の命を救う以前に学級の徒。そうだろ。
そうじゃない。医者は人の命を救うのが第一だ。
人の命は平等じゃないんだもの。
違う。命に上下なんてあるものか。僕は間違ってなんかいない。医者どころかただの金の亡者じゃないか。あんなやつ死んだ方がマシだ。君が僕に医者としての目を開かせてくれた。頑張って生きるんだぞ。僕は全てを失ってまで君のオペをしたんだ。そうまでして僕が君を生き返らせたんだから。
Did any of that get through? Oh, are those eyes about to open up? Yes, they are.
自分の名前くらいわかるよね。
Oh.
君の名前はアンナ・リーベルト。
Anna.
そうだね。
Oh.
外傷はありませんが、強度の恐怖体験による健忘が起きているようです。当面、あの子の事情聴取はご遠慮いただけませんか。
こういうのはどうだ。この子を兄貴に合わせるんだよ。
That would be
それで安心して記憶
interesting.
も蘇るかもしれない。
そんな博打みたいな素人考えには賛同しかねます。それにドクター天馬も許可を出さないでしょう。
まったくいいように使う。
Yeah.
チーフから格下げ食らってから。
いや、いいんです。帰ってさっぱりしましたよ。
この贈り物や励ましの手紙の数々。
妹の方の病室にも山と積まれていますよ。
両親を亡くし、兄弟二人きりになったとマスコミがお涙ちょうだいで報道するものだから。
Oh, I'm sure he'll.
まあまあ、お涙ちょうだい結構じゃないか。
Maybe I could spin it.
つまりこの病院に注目が集まる。それだけでこの子たちには価値があるというものだ。この子たち兄弟2人揃った写真を1枚マスコミに公開して。
They're really putting that idea out there.
それは
Get these two back
マスコミも再
together.
三要請してきていることですが。
やりたまえ。
担当医がまだ2人を対面させるのは
Voice
早いと
doctor.
言っていますが。
誰だね担当は。
ドクター天馬です。
外せ。
はい。
あの男にこんな脚光を浴びるポジションは必要ない。
Cutthroat.
市民からの温かい贈り物だ。君らもどうかね。
いただきます。
That boy is listening to all of this. That shot of the eyes opening, the presentation of that. Ominous?
しっかりして。この子をお兄さんに会わせたんです。ものすごい
Ah.
叫び声を上げて。
なぜ合わせたんだ。誰の許可を得てそんなことをしているんですか。
Not anymore,
担当医は
man.
僕ですよ。
君はヨハンの担当を外されたんだよ。今日から担当は私だ。私が2人を合わせても大丈夫と判断した。
And Anna fainted.
この子たちを
Screamed and fainted.
この子たちを見せ物にするな。
妹を見た途端、手を差し伸べて涙を流したんだ。意識が戻り、正常な反応を示している。
Oh. Oh, man.
何がチーフの命令だ。
Yeah.
どいつもこいつも金と出世の亡者どもが。僕は間違っていない。
外科部長、 こんな時間までミーティングですか?
Oh. Oh. Oh, he's dead. Ooh. Oh god. Oh god. See, he said that in the presence of Johan. And then there's that. Oh wow. Okay. Episode 2. Yeah. This is good. Really, really damn good. And 2 episodes in, I'm just completely hooked. It's got its claws in me. And then some. Wow. I mean, some of the things that happened in this episode, I did not see coming. I did not see coming. Some I did see coming, and I'm sure many of us did after, the big choice he made in the conclusion of the final episode. And of course, the outcome of that choice is that the mayor does end up dying, but he saved Johan's life. He saved a child's life, right? And then, of course, the fallout, the aftermath, the fallout, the consequences to his actions, to the choice he made, are certainly on display. Ruthless, just ruthless. I think it's overkill. I think a lot of us can agree that the punishment is just so severe. It's so over the top. I mean, the golden boy, this prodigy of a surgeon, is essentially buried overnight. Essentially the same system that supported him and got him to this point, or helped him in getting to this point, is now the same system that is taking him down, keeping him down. And it is kind of scary how efficiently he was pulled apart or picked apart, ostracized, dumped, demoted, right? Lost his social standing, lost his professional standing. My goodness, it is some fall, isn't it? Adequately titled downfall in the episode itself. But the crazy thing is, even though he is on that slippery slope down in the dumps, it's certainly raining and pouring at this point. It appears that it might not be done just yet. It might not be done just yet because shortly this shocking triple homicide, triple murder is going to be pinned on him, right? I'll go ahead and put this out there. I don't believe for a second that he has any part in this. Can I put that out there? Can I say that? I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, I'm about 90% sure, 95% sure, 98% sure that he didn't do any of this. But maybe there's a tiny bit of doubt. And I say that because I actually do believe he might have that doubt in himself even. Maybe a part of him does think, did I go over to the director's house? Because he's had access to that house really recently, right? He's been there on many occasions, clearly, as showcased in episode 1 as well, right? With his fiancée, his daughter, of course, ex at this point. I mean, she is, if I'm being honest, she's almost cartoony at this point. Both her and her father, the director, are perhaps leaning into that cartooning side of things at this point. They're just so disgusting. So, evil, There's like no humanity there. Ava is just, my goodness, that is just, ugh. No shocker there, of course. No shocker. It was clear that she latched on to Tenma for the status, right? Again, her head's in the stars. She's materialistic. And the moment she dumps him, the moment that status is gone, it's done. She dumps him. And she moves on immediately to the next. And it's so clear that the director himself is almost pimping his daughter out. I don't mean that in the literal sense, but I just think perhaps he's imploring her to go and meet these respected surgeons, go after them, chase them, get her claws in them. But yeah, that is quite the fall for our Dr. Tenma. And yeah, like I said, there's a good chance this is about to be pinned on him, right? Because from the outside looking in, my goodness, the motive is there, isn't it? Right? Yeah. I mean, again, they are immediately going to go to him, perhaps take him in for questioning. I mean, sure, there is this element of instant karma that came for all three of them, right? But I don't think this is the thing Dr. Kenma needed at this moment in time, right? It's about to make it even more difficult for him. Now, the three people dying, that in itself is just, it was really quite shocking. I did not see that coming, especially the director dying in episode 2. I don't know, man. Listen, one aspect of this is just simply too much to ignore at this point. The setup dictates that us, the audience, question this possibility. And I'm going to do it right now. I know it's going to sound crazy, but is Johan our little monster? Listen, folks, it certainly appears that they're trying to, communicate that, be it through the visual storytelling or be it through this really jarring and shocking coincidence. Those exact three people dying. And, now, maybe I'm not as sure about this being completely grounded in reality, because maybe there is some supernatural element to this, because, sure, okay, the first aspect of this is questioning if indeed Johan is responsible for this, for the death of these three people. And I don't even feel like that's really that far-fetched to entertain, because the show itself is essentially giving us some strong clues and hints. The moment, the camera kind of lingers on Johan. This is after Dr. Tenma has a bit of an outburst. In this moment of immense frustration, he really lets it out. His unfiltered thoughts, he lets it all out. And he ends those thoughts by saying something along the lines of, he's better off dead. And then he kind of said the same thing again right at the conclusion of this episode, in his bed, right? He's not in the alley anymore. Yes, he was, he hit rock bottom. Essentially, he does hit rock bottom. He hits the drink really hard. It's just really tough to see him go through this, to be in this state, right? He's such a kind, respected man. I mean, once upon a time at least. Though, that being said, there's still enough people around that respect him. Enough people in the hospital that respect him and look up to him. Hell, it appears that Johan might be one of the newest ones to that fan club. It appears that Johan has latched on. I believe he might have latched on, right? This is his savior, his guardian angel, the man who gave up everything to save his life. So, to me, it even kind of feels like if indeed Johan pulled this off, and, of course, I'll have to get into the possibilities of how exactly that's even possible. There is a strong chance that, a new code or a sense of purpose was kind of imprinted onto Johan, or bestowed upon Johan, perhaps, in this, tender state of recovery. Or the other possibility is Johan is always like this, or he was always like this. And then, of course, you kind of go back to the shocking scene at that residence. And a lot of those moments, yeah, you kind of get to see them in a different light now after some of the things that came out of this episode. But yeah, Dr. Tenma, he made it back home. He was in his bed, and I'm pretty sure the next thing he's going to see is policemen at his door. I mean, I'm so sure about that. Surely. It'll be interesting to see how Ava reacts to this. Is she going to pile on as well and immediately pinpoint Dr. Tenma as a prime suspect? Listen, terrible person, but no one should have to, walk in on their parents like that to see your father dead. That's tough. That's tough. So terrible people, both her and her father, but there is a sense of tragedy attached to this as well. The human element still remains. And yeah, it's clear that this anime, this story is going to be focusing on that throughout its 74, 76 episode run, right? The human condition, human nature. Now let's focus on the Johan angle. And of course, Anna Liebert. Johan Liebert and Anna Liebert. Twins, right? Yeah. The things that came out of this episode, especially by Johan, really, really kind of help you paint a picture. So that scene of her standing above his body, remember I even talked about it in my discussion for episode 1, it's really quite distinct. She's standing above him, above his body. To me, I think it's becoming a bit more clear now that she actually might have shot Johan. Because I think she saw Johan kill her parents or their parents. I think Johan might have been like this already. Johan really might be our little monster. And before I forget, let me kind of go back and finish my point about that reveal of Johan coming to, being lucid, and actually taking in everything that Dr. Tenma is putting out there. Right? Unfiltered thoughts that he thought are just kind of falling on deaf ears, perhaps, at that moment. But no, Johan took all of that in. And, the presentation of that scene is just undeniable. You cannot ignore the ominous nature of it, the unsettling nature of it. Johan coming to, his eyes opening, and the look in those eyes. My goodness, yeah. So I think there's two things going on here. So I think someone did break in, because the cops essentially, if the cops are confirming, the signs are that someone broke in. But there's a few things at play here. So I think, there's a chance that maybe it is a political assassination, right? It could be a robbery. But then I also think that there is this Johan and Anna element to all of this. So my running theory at this point is that Johan actually might have killed their parents, and then Anna walked in on him and then perhaps shot him, right? And of course, she's traumatized. The poor baby's just traumatized. And the crazy thing is, the director, the late director, and the other two, they did not care one bit about their psychological condition at that moment. They only cared about using these children as like the next stunt, to gain more attention. Get a photo of them together, even though every single one of them knew that it's not a good idea to put them in the same room. It's not just Dr. Tenma who believed that, because even if some of these other doctors are terrible people, even if the director himself is just monstrous, they're still quite established. They know you can't put them together this soon. They do it nonetheless. They don't care about them. They care about the publicity of this. And earlier I mentioned that the director and his daughter Ava are almost cartoony at this point. The whole, taking candy from a kid, perhaps that was a little bit too on the nose as well, because I didn't need any other reasons to despise him and his methods. That much was clear at this point, but that's how far gone he is, the director, that is. But now, let's focus on that candy, because the show itself is focusing on the candy, that bag of candy, isn't it? All three of them had that candy. All three of them died by the end of the episode. And I'm pretty sure there's no blood, right? Yeah, none of them are... was that blood? No, there was some kind of liquid. I think one of them had like a puddle, maybe. Stuff kind of leaking out of their mouth, perhaps. I think. But I'm pretty sure there's no blood, right? And the director himself just passed on, sitting at his desk at home. So I think there is a possibility that bag of candy, or perhaps all of the candy in there, might have been tampered. But see, then that kind of also clashes with the possibility of me saying that maybe Johan did pull this off. Maybe he did this for Dr. Tenma, right? His savior. The man who gave him a second shot at life. Maybe this is how I can repay him, right? So yeah, there's a bit of a clash there now, because I don't know, that all three of them dying is just so suspicious, right? Exactly just those three. So I think it might have been because of the candy. Now, there is another possibility here. Perhaps it isn't Johan who shot their parents. Perhaps it was, a political assassination, right? They got the parents, but they didn't quite finish the job, perhaps. They couldn't get Ava and Johan. So maybe they're trying to finish the job now by sending in poisoned candy. Maybe that's one angle, perhaps. But listen, if I think Johan did this for Dr. Tenma, if he pulled this off and this is just who he is, right? This might be the monster, the little monster of the anime. I mean, I say little, but I think this is certainly going to need a time skip, because I need to see both Johan and Anna as young adults at some point. There's got to be a time skip. Surely there's got to be a time skip. And the thing is, there's actually the things that are at play now. They do suggest that perhaps there is going to be a time skip. I'm not sure how long before that could happen, but yeah, it all kind of depends on how things play out for Dr. Tenma from this point on. He's going to be under a lot of pressure from the police, and the one policeman is essentially trying to get anything that he can, some kind of breakthrough, because he's afraid that, I suppose, the FBI, the German FBI, in that sense, might come in and take over. That's usually the case. It usually is how it plays out, isn't it? But see, another thing that simply has to be explored at this point is Anna's role in all of this. Right now, in this one, they reveal that she gets out of bed and she'll linger in the halls. And, in this one, once again, kill is the thought on her mind. But, something really interesting happened here. At one point, she goes, me, kill. A bit out of order, but then, you put it together, kill me. Now you kind of have to think about, is she remembering that night and she's asking to be killed? Or is Johan, or is she repeating something Johan might have stated at that point? Kill me. And maybe she did it. Maybe she tried it. She did the exact thing Johan might have told her. And that's the thing she is repeating still. Kill me. So yeah, I think there's a strong possibility that she actually shot Johan, right? And again, her standing above his body in that manner and the proximity of that, it just really makes me feel that she indeed shot him, Johan, that is. But there's also, again, signs of a break-in as well. So there's a few moving pieces here. And I'm sure I'll get the clear picture of that incident down the line. I mean, there is a bit of amnesia going on as well, right? Induced by the shock of it all. So yeah, let's see. The thing is, even though they brought them together, the two siblings, the twins, even if they shouldn't have, you see that Johan's reaction to seeing his sister is really quite an emotional one. That he is so happy to see her again. But on the opposite end, you have Anna's reaction. She is essentially really quite scared. Lets out a scream. Dr. Tenma comes running in as well, and she faints upon seeing her brother. Two totally different types of reactions there. Again, it kind of lends to that possibility, that theory that indeed, maybe Johan is the one who killed their parents, and then she ended up shooting Johan. And the crazy thing is, it's even possible that Johan asked her to do it. Kill me. To me, it's becoming a bit more concrete that indeed it might have been a misdirect, and it's not really Anna. Sorry, I keep jumping back and forth. Anna. I don't think it's her that's meant to be this killer. I just don't. Unless, if I kind of lean into some of the more supernatural elements, possible supernatural elements, I hope there isn't any of that in this, right? But if Johan actually managed to kill them, I don't know how, man. I don't know how he could possibly pull that off. But the thing is, they're really alluding to that possibility. There's actually strong signs of that possibility in this. And see, another reason this potential Johan revelation makes sense to me is because it can really kind of lean into the monster you created aspect of this. The monster I created, or the monster society created, right? It can really begin to lean into that as well. My goodness, now I just really thought about it. The one saving grace of all of this, the one thing that really kind of gives Tenma some hope, something he is really quite proud of, is that he saved the life of this child. But my God, if this actually ends up being Johan, if he actually does end up being some kind of killer, then it just opens up a whole new door of possibilities and potential for the story and how it could play on or play out, or the direction it can head towards or in. Hell, it's entirely possible that Dr. Tenma might be going to jail, might be going to prison for a time, right? That could be a good pivot. That could be a good chance for a time skip even. Maybe. It all depends. I don't want to make too many predictions at this point. It's only 2 episodes in. Let me kind of get to episode 3. That should really clear some things up, right? How the police kind of look at the situation, right? And his standing in all of this. Yeah, I mean, it is exciting. It is so gripping. My goodness. I'm so happy that I can do multiple episodes of this and get to it much sooner, right? To get to each episode much sooner. God damn, exciting times on the channel, folks. But yeah, I could totally see the story exploring that possibility, or exploring that angle, the monster you created, right? And the responsibility that you might have. My goodness, you go back and you go back to my discussion point, the choice he made on that night, the butterfly effect of that choice. Jeez, 1 episode later, my goodness. But see, now I'm thinking about Johan and his upbringing. If that is the case, if indeed it does end up being Johan, the next question immediately becomes, how did this young child become like this? Was he born like this? Did some kind of incident scar him forever, psychologically damage him forever before, even coming into the care of Dr. Tenma, before even being saved by Dr. Tenma. But yeah, I really do think the most practical approach here is that you kind of have to focus on the one thing all three of them shared, and that was the candy. So I believe there might be a link there, linking all three of those specifically. And of course, all three of them happen to be people that wronged Tenma, rivals even, right? So of course, it's going to fall on him. It's going to get pinned on him for sure, or at the least, he's going to be a prime suspect. And because of that, they might actually consider him a flight risk or something along those lines, right? He's going to have to stick around in Dusseldorf, that's for sure. Even if there doesn't seem to be much there for him. Actually, maybe not, You see that even though he's going through it and he's down in the dumps, he's at his happiest anytime he's with his patients, anytime he's helping people. He loves helping people, right? Hell, Dr. Becker, who I might have been wrong about, right? I mean, he's still a little bit slimy, and a little bit sneaky, but it appears that he was kind of looking out for Dr. Tenma, or at least being real about the things at play here, right? He's right. He told him how things are, and you see that even Tenma isn't as naive as I initially thought. He understood that he is being used, but he's kind of going with the flow, isn't he? Up until a certain point. Or that was his plan, at least. But yeah, Dr. Becker, it appears that maybe he did something as well, and that got him to the position that he's in now, and he believes they're in the same boat now. But if he's in that position, that means he might have done something that goes against the director's orders as well, or something along those lines, right? Didn't do something the director wanted of him, or maybe he's just a really terrible surgeon or a doctor. They've certainly given us clues or hints about that as well, right? He's not the greatest, but still, he's kind of there for Tenma. But yeah, in terms of the director's approach, it's almost kind of like a passive-aggressive approach. But once he brings it down, once he passes that judgment, he really brings down the hammer on Tenma, doesn't he? And yeah, it does make sense that he didn't actually publicly out Tenma or put all the blame on him publicly, because again, at the end of the day, Tenma is someone that is a respected surgeon at that hospital, at that institution. So he couldn't bring their reputation down by openly dressing him down in public in that press conference, right? He was actually he kind of maintains that they did everything that they could. They offered him the best, but the mayor still ended up dying, right? But then, of course, privately, he really brings it down on him. I mean, he just snatches everything from him. He takes everything from Tenma, almost everything. I mean, Tenma's still allowed to practice because the skill is there. The skill is something he cannot take from Dr. Tenma, right? His convictions are not something he can take from Dr. Tenma, even if those convictions could have opened Pandora's box. The monster you created and all that. But yeah, that should do it for this episode. For now, at least. There's definitely a few things I'm going to go back to from episode 1, and perhaps I'll come back to this episode as well. But yeah, I do want to check out a few things from episode 1 again, kind of look into it. But I do want to be a little bit careful. There is always a chance of running into spoilers, even if you kind of look up the passage that they utilize in the opening of the anime itself, right? I do want to look into that a bit more, because now, it becomes even more interesting, given my concerns about Johan as well. So yeah, there's so much to dig into. This is just the beginning stages. I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. I mean, once it gets going and I'm in the flow of things, it's going to be so much fun. It'll be so juicy. I can see some really, really extensive discussions for this one, folks, for this anime. Exciting times. But yeah, once again, from the technical aspect or production side of things, the color design really is quite effective, isn't it? Really matches the tone of this anime. it's dreary, right? Moody. And listen, that's not really everyone's cup of tea. Perhaps even the look of it, the color design, even, the character design. I've noticed that, there's some really interesting things going on here, especially if you look at the character design for someone like Ava. If you look at her face, really quite striking. Some of the features, the eyes, the eyebrows. You've got her late father, the director. Really, really quite striking in that sense. So it'll be interesting to see more of these character designs. Kenzo, Dr. Tenma himself, his features are certainly a bit more gentle, right? It's essentially in line with the type of character he is, or his character. And you see that it really hurt him to have his character questioned by someone like the director. My goodness, the audacity, right? Imagine, you could feel the pain. You can feel that this man is going through it. And even he is having some doubts every now and then. He is kind of struggling with that choice he might have made, right? And I'm not even speaking of the potential Johan angle. I'm just speaking of, oh yeah, the mayor did end up dying. Because I think a part of him does feel a bit of guilt for saying no to that. And I think that's only natural. But yeah, the sound design, really quite noticeable as well. The score is really, really damn good. I mean, it was much more noticeable in this episode, specifically. And there's something really interesting going on in the final moments. There's these animalistic sounds being accompanied by the revelation of those two being dead. And then, of course, really quite noticeable as they focus on the director dead on his desk, at his desk. Really interesting choices here. Yeah, good stuff, man. Damn good stuff. I really enjoyed that. And I'm really enjoying the deliberate pacing, right? This is so perfect for this type of story. The slow burn. It all just fits in perfectly, like a glove. I'm enjoying it, man. 2 episodes in, I'm really, really enjoying this. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you're interested in the next few episodes right now, or perhaps even full length, timer-based full length, of course, consider checking out the Patreon page, and the links for that are in the description and the pinned comment. Also links to social media, if that's your thing. Maybe if you're new to the channel, you could support the channel just by dropping a follow on Twitter. And that really helps the channel kind of grow its reach, because that actually does matter. The reach of a channel, of a content creator, does matter, and it can be responsible for bringing on, opportunities in the content creation field, in that industry and all that. But yeah, that should do it for this one, folks. Excited, really damn excited to get to the next episode. So thank you for joining me, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for the next one. Until then, take it easy.